All right, we're gonna head inside to the East Bay Card Show. This is one of the better card shows in Northern California. It's about 4 or 5 times a year. I'm excited to go inside. This time it's gonna go from 2 days to 1. So the question is, what is that gonna do to how crowded it is? Are the same dealers gonna be there? Because historically, there are a lot of vintage and modern dealers. So I'm hopeful. And it's always well run, really well organized. Parking's great, so it's a great show. We'll head inside, super excited. Haven't been to a show in, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or so. So my dad and I are headed inside. One last thing, several of you have asked during shows, how do I use both of my hands? So I have a chest mount, and I said I would show it on my next card show video. So here is my chest mount, which you can see is all I do is I have the chest mount and my phone goes in there and it just kind of locks in. If you're interested in one of those because you have a content that you create and you want to be able to have a chest mount, I'll put a link to the one I bought down below if that would be helpful for you. But again, it just wraps around your chest, phone goes right there, works like a charm. Let's head inside. All right, so in I go. Now, on the right, there's a room, and on the left, there's a room. So here's the first room. This one's actually the one on the right. So there are 2 pretty good-sized rooms at this show. And a look at part of the other room. Now, it's kind of got a little angle to it. So here's one side of it, and then here's the other side of that other room. So these 2 big rooms make up the show. And it's not small, I can tell you that much. So I walked on up to my buddy Craig's table. You've seen me buy things from him before. I'll show you his contact information here in a minute. If you are interested or see anything in here that you like. He's always super fair with his pricing. And he's always got great stuff. Had some loose vintage stuff I went through. I really like the 69 Pete Rose right there. And then he had some Clementes in here. Here's another 69. It's the Clemente. That's a nice looking card as well. These black borders are so tough on the 71s. Cool 79 Nolan Ryan. Cool Yogi Berra MVP card. Again, he's always got cool stuff, and he always has a stack of raw cards as well, which I always look forward to going through that stack. I know my dad commonly buys a couple of cards out of his ungraded stack, as well as looking at some of his graded cards in the cases. It's a nice Roberto Clemente. It's one of his prettiest cards for sure. I gave that one a long look. There's a little bit of a bump on the left border. Got a Jim Palmer rookie, a Gaylord Perry rookie, another Clemente. So, but yeah, my dad was over talking to Craig, and Craig always has quite a few Mantles and Mays cards, which we'll see here in just a second. My dad ended up buying one of those Mantles today. I'll show you which one here when we see the case in just a second. I'm still thinking about that Clemente, that 71 Clemente. I take a little bit of a closer look, and there's a little bit of an issue on the left border, so I decided not to make an offer on it. So here's that case with all the Mays and Mantle cards. And if you look right in the middle of your screen right now, that 67 Mantle in the SGC5, my dad took that one home. You see the 62 Mantles, you see a 61, some All-Stars, and again, lots of Mazes. A couple of nice 61 Mays up top there. And again, there's Craig's information if you ever want to reach out to him. Now, this was a crazy table. These bats came out of Willie McCovey's personal collection. Willie McCovey's best friend and godson are liquidating his estate. Unbelievable. So I went over and saw my friend Scott. He got that cool Pee Wee Reese Redman, and then a bunch of exhibits that he recently picked up.
Where'd you get all this new stuff?
And I'm asking him, hey, where'd you get these? I don't remember seeing you with these before.
At this show last time.
And so he said he picked them up at the last Concord East Bay show. There was a Whitey Ford, there's a Richie Ashburn. And he's got reasonable prices on them.
They're all like low grades.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in any of these, I'll put up here on the screen Scott's contact information. And again, more of those exhibits. Now, Scott and I started talking, and he's like, hey, let's do a table together. And I'm like, man, I haven't sat on the dealer side of a table in 30 years. And he's like, let's do it. So we're talking about maybe setting up at a show here in Sacramento in the spring. So we'll see if we end up doing that or not. But right now, we're kind of leaning toward doing that show together. So that would be certainly interesting to set up. There's a nice mini Minoso. Another Barra. Really cool stuff. Rocky Colavito. He had a cool Ted Williams in there, but it did have a pinhole. But a lot of these are stars, Hall of Famers, and minor stars. There's Scott's Instagram information. So if you want to reach out to him, that's his handle on Instagram. If you're interested in any of these exhibits. He's a great guy, so he will be happy to help you out if there's anything that you want. And then off screen here a minute later, I bought this Orlando Cepeda Topps Chrome autograph. So I'm looking through this guy's stuff. I didn't even have my camera on because it was a modern table, and I don't usually buy stuff at modern tables. And I look, and this Topps Chrome Orlando Cepeda autograph, he was asking $6. And I'm like, $6? I said, how about $5? He said, deal. So there it is. Orlando Cepeda Topps Chrome autograph for $5 was my first purchase of the day. So then I went over to this table. I've seen this dealer before, and he's got a nice Yogi Berra rookie card that I've been eyeing for a while. So I brought a wad of cash in case he was interested in kind of selling it at recent comp prices. Look, he's got some nice stuff in his case. He always buys really well-centered stuff. So a friend walked up, my guy Mike, and he's showing me his World Series ticket from a Yankees World Series championship. He showed me that, and he knows I like ticket stubs, so I was excited to see this. So I decided to think a little bit more on that Barra and head back over there a little bit later and see if I could work a deal. He was busy at the time when I went by. So I asked to take a look at this 55 Jackie Robinson, which is my favorite Jackie Robinson card. And I look at this and I'm like, why is this a 2.5? It looks sharp, it's centered, it's got nice corners, and then I noticed right there on the back on the top, there's some staining. But man, it's a really nice 2.5 if you can handle that staining. So then I looked at his 55 Hank Aaron. This also is a nice card. But I wasn't going to buy it today, but I love the second year Hank Aaron. This was a nice copy. So I took a closer look at it, but wasn't going to pull the trigger on that one today. My goal today was to see if I could land that Yogi Berra. So that's where my mind was. So I went back over.
Yeah. These two here. The Minoso and the Barra. You got it?
Went back over to take a look at this. So he had this mini Minoso 52 Bowman rookie. It's a little bit dark in this spot in the room. It's hard to see. But then he had that 48 Barra that I love. And this is in a 5. That Minoso was a 3.5. This is a really nice 5 of this 48 Bowman Yogi Berra. And they've been recently selling for about $950 to $1,100. So I'm really thinking on this if he can hit that price. So I ended up asking him, hey, what's your best on this? He said, $1,400. I'm like, you can't do any better. And he goes, nope, that's it. So that wasn't going to work. And then he was asking $220 on this Minoso rookie in the 3.5, and it looked nice. This is my preferred Minoso rookie. He has a 52 Topps and 52 Bowman, but I like the Bowman better. So I've been keeping my eye out for this card for a while. Again, he wanted 220, which was a little higher than comps. So I put him back, decided to think on it a little bit more. Now, this guy had some really cool relic stuff of vintage players, like Ted Williams stuff and, old Yankees, like DiMaggio relics and Jackie Robinson relics. And he had a relic with some of the trunks of Muhammad Ali. And I'd never seen him at a show, so I took a long look at all these relic cards. Now, these aren't really my thing, but I appreciate them. I think they're cool. They're just not things that I really collect all that much. But if I found a great deal on one, I would always be open to just about anything. So then I went over to my buddy Mo's table. I'll put Mo's information on the screen here. He's always got insane stuff. Wilt Chamberlain rookie, Jerry West rookie, Jim Brown rookie. Elgin Baylor, Oscar Robertson rookie. His case is always just unbelievable. You can see some newer stuff in here. Some LeBron's got some Jordan rookies, Charles Barkley, bunch of 86 Fleer. And he's got high-grade 53 Topps. And you can see, look at that. Sandy Koufax in an 8. Sandy Koufax rookie in an 8 sitting there. Man, I'd love to have that thing, but my kid's got to go to college, And more of his vintage stuff. Got that 51 Yogi Berra up there and a couple of Nolan Ryan rookies. Bunch of Mays, bunch of Mantle, more Mantle. So then he always has some boxes of stuff, so he's had this big row of Mays cards. This seemed like a pretty decent deal. The 1960 All-Star Willie Mays in a 5. He was asking $150. He had a whole bunch of Mays cards here. Very reasonable prices, I thought, for the most part on them. And in this next little stack, you'll see the 58 Topps All-Star. One that I recently showed in one of my videos. I bought from Craig, actually, the first dealer, a few months ago. Had a nice Pete Rose. And then a couple of 84 Fleer updates. There's my guy Clemens. Check this card out. Mo pulled me over and said, check out this card. This is a gold Contenders rookie ticket in a 10 of Brock Purdy. The other 9 are graded, and they all got 9s or lower. That's the only 10. That's a massive card. Now, next to him was his buddy, super nice guy, who had a bunch of the kind of nostalgic stuff from my childhood. I'm like, Kirby Puckett Fleer rookie? I've wanted that card since I was 9. Maybe today's the day. So I pulled that aside. It was really well centered, really nice one. He's got some Jeter stuff, but he had a lot of stuff from like the 80s, 70s, early 90s. So I spent some time at his table, got to talk to him and his wife, a couple of really nice people. Look, he's got the Golden Press cards. These are always cool. I don't understand why these don't sell for more. They're perforated cards, and they're all-time greats, but they're not plain day cards. But they're not new. They're vintage cards. There's some more of those. And, it's just, I love these boxes where you just never know what the next card's going to be. It's like from modern to vintage to somewhere in between. You got Jeters and Clementes in the same stack. I love that because it's just like I just want to dig through them and see what I'm going to find. Look at this. Got Bo Jackson, 87 Topps, Jose Canseco's. And then you have newer stuff, and then back to Ryan Sandberg rookie cards for $10, and Darryl Strawberry. So, again, I spent quite a bit of time at this table just digging and digging, so I'm going to show you a couple of the highlights. I was hoping to make a deal because I wanted that Puckett card. Look at that, a McGuire Olympic card. You got some Boggs rookie, couple Boggs rookies, and then I say, oh, look at this. This is an Ozzie Smith. He's only asking $20, and it's not centered great, but that card's never centered great. Other than that, it looked really sharp. For $20, I pull that aside, put it in my pile to take a closer look at. I said, well, wait a second, here's an Eddie Murray. I've wanted an Eddie Murray rookie for a long time. His one looks really well centered and very sharp. He's asking $15. So I'm like, man, maybe I need to take a closer look at that. And this is a card from my childhood, the Eric Plunk Canseco card. So I take a real close look at each of these. I don't show it on camera, but I took them out and gave him a really good look over. So he's got 20 on the Ozzie Smith, 15 on the Eddie Murray. And what's he got, like 8 or something on the Kirby Puckett?
What's the best you could do on those 3 for me?
Well, you're the internet guy, so you tell me.
Well, I want to be fair.
You do.
Mo, tell him a really low number in his ear.
He's telling me you got already price too low already.
No, that's too little. $30. $30 is a
I
deal.
guess he was testing you, huh?
Because I know how they are. I know he'd be nice.
Yeah. My number was 30, so I'm giving you 30, so you owe me 10.
So I had asked him, what's his best for these cards? Because he had 43 on them. And he said, I'll do it for 20. And I'm like, no. I'll give you $30. $30 is plenty fair. So I gave him 30 for the 3 cards that I ended up going with, which,
It's nice
again,
seeing you. I appreciate the deal. Thank you.
here we've got that
Yeah,
Kirby
of course.
Puckett.
See you guys.
And then the Eddie Murray and Ozzie Smith rookie. So here's the Puckett. Again, 85 Fleer. It's not a rare card. It's not a super expensive card, but it's a card I've wanted since, I was 9 years old. And so it was cool to pick it up. So again, this was part of the deal for $30. And then you take a look at the next one, the Ozzie Smith, and side to side, obviously it's off-centered. It is most of the time. But it's a super sharp card. Like, it's in really good shape. And it was $20 with his asking. So again, those two were $28 asking, which were super fair just to begin with. I mean, here's a closer look at that Ozzie Smith. Again, other than the centering side to side, it's got a super clean surface and great color. And the corners are great. And then the third card is that Eddie Murray rookie card. And this one is super well centered. So that was just icing on the cake. Again, he was asking 15 for this one. So the combination of the 3, I paid $30, which I thought was a great deal. And then here's that Eddie Murray. Again, side-to-side centering is fantastic. A little off top to bottom, but whatever. I mean, corners were great. It's a great card. So then I went back to digging through some boxes, went over to this guy's table in the other room, and they were doing a closeout. They were like, everything must go. We're going out of business. No more cards selling for us. So that always means take a long look. The problem, though, was they didn't have prices on the cards. So that always is tough because I don't know where their starting point is. It might be way high. It might be way low. But you're just like, oh, there's a Hall of Fame rookie card, a maybe future Hall of Fame rookie card in that Whitaker. You got a Joe Carter rookie card. You got some great stuff in here. And so then you had, baseball next to football, next to basketball. So I started looking through some of the football stuff. And then mixed in with some baseball stuff. And I went, wait, is that the... No. But you have to look at that Frank Thomas just in case it's the blank. It obviously wasn't, but still got to look. Got some Eddie Murray cards there. And then he had a lot of vintage basketball, too. So you got to see that Dr. J on top. There's another Dr. J. Got some Kareems in here. That's a Robert Parrish rookie card, which is a cool card. He still signs autographs through the mail, by the way. I thought about getting that one to send off to have him sign it. I mean, Hall of Famer autographed, and he doesn't charge a penny if you send it to him. There's an 81 Kareem. Some more Robert Parrish cards. Another Kareem. I thought about making a deal, like a bulk deal, but they were busy with some other customers, and I was just like, Just decided to kind of keep on moving. So I went over to this table, and this guy had kind of a hodgepodge box. He has some wrestling stuff. You can see those Hulk Hogan cards. You got some Stone Cold Steve Austin cards. You got a Nirvana card. This is a pretty epic Nirvana card. It's a little overpriced what he was asking. At the peak, that's probably what it was going for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
then you got a Snoop card there.
All right, you too.
You got some Ali Olympic cards. I remember collecting those as a kid. Those Olympic cards there. And you got some more wrestling, and you're just like a little everything. Look, a little Luke Skywalker. Another Stone Cold. So, again, when there are boxes that are hodgepodge like this, I love going through them. There's another Hulk Hogan rookie. Well, it's not technically his rookie. He had another one. A Nadal rookie card. There was an earlier Hulk Hogan card, but still a cool card. It's his first Topps card. So I kept on digging. Got a Chewbacca and, a little everything. C-3PO, rookie card in a 6. You got this cool Elvis Presley card. But I kept on moving, so I went over to the next table, and this guy had a bunch of these. So a lot of you might be familiar with the Perez Steel postcard autographs and postcards. Well, and I've recently collected some of the Hall of Fame plaque autograph postcards. Well, these are the football version. They're not put out by Perez Steel. They're called goal lines. And it's the same concept, that they're art of these players that are Hall of Famers. And then at a lot of the Hall of Fame ceremonies and stuff, they'll sell them, and then you can get them autographed for super cheap. And then next to it, they had some Perez Steel great moments, which these are kind of like, they're kind of more of a matte finish, not a glossy finish.
If you're interested, 100 for all of them.
100 for all these.
All the autographs.
What was
So
here?
he had some decent prices on them, and he had a half off on the baseball ones on his prices that were already low. And then he walked up and said, for all of them, the football and the baseball, I'd do $100. And you got Eddie Matthews here. You got Al Kaline, Enos Slaughter. You got, some really elite player. Well, obviously they're elite. They're Hall of Famers. You got a Luis Aparicio with a, inscription on there. And I'm like, $100? Like, how could I not do that? These are, and they're numbered. These things are numbered out of 5,000, and they're autographed. So there's 5 baseball ones, and there were like 12 or 13 football ones. So I'm like, I'm sitting there going, I don't know how I could not buy all of these. And he's asking $100, and some of them are fairly big names. Like, you got Maynard, and you've got Dan Deerdorf, and there are some Joyner. There are some really good ones.
How about 80? 80 for all of them. 80?
So I said, well, if he's offering them for 100, he doesn't want them. Maybe he'll do them for 80. So I just said, what do you think about 80 for all these? And he says, okay. So we've got 5 of the Perez Steel great moments.
There you go. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the deal.
Take care.
And I think it ended up being 13 of the goal line. So here's the Eddie Matthews. Beautiful signature in blue Sharpie. And again, these are a little bit bigger than the postcard. And they're like a matte finish. They're numbered out of 5,000. And they were released in series. So we got the Eddie Matthews there. I mean, look at that. It's a beautiful signature. And so then I go, okay, well, you go through them and you're just like, Enos Slaughter for his autograph on this numbered art print from Perez Steel, I think I've got to do this. Bobby Doer. And you're just like, yeah, it's gorgeous. So, again, 5 of these, and I still got the Aparicio here. He was asking 15, part of the deal. And it's got the inscription. It's got the Hall of Fame inscription on there. Super cool. And then last but not least, the Alkaline. And it's a beautiful Alkaline autograph. So that was just the baseball ones. Now remember, there are a bunch of the football ones too, the goal lines, and here's a closer look at the Alkaline. I didn't have any of the great moments, and I didn't have any of the goal lines, but I did have some of the autograph postcards. So here, again, Dan Deerdorf here, who was on TV a lot, doing commentating and stuff. John Mackey. And I mean, it's like, I thought they were super cool. The deal was crazy. I mean, Dan Fouts, right? Hall of Fame quarterback, prolific passer. I actually have a Dan Fouts autograph already. Don Maynard. That one had the inscription as well. And, I think that they're beautiful, and they just go nicely with the collection of, the Hall of Fame plaque postcards that I've been picking up slowly over time. So it was sort of one of those things, and it was weird because on the way to the show, as we're continuing to look through them, I'm like, I hope that there are some Perez Steels or something at the show today for like cheap, because those would be kind of fun to pick up. And then there was exactly that. And, I know that some linemen, Hall of Fame linemen aren't the guys that a lot of people get excited about. But if you're a Hall of Fame football player, you are legit. And picking up 13 of them to go with the 5 baseball autographs, I was extremely excited to be able to do. So then I went over this and next table, and you got a Roger Bresnahan T206 and a 1.5. It had a couple little creases, but I really thought on that one because it was so well centered and the coloring was fantabulous. And you got a Joe Green rookie, and again, another little bit of a hodgepodge. That one's signed. And there's like a little bit of a hodgepodge again, where there's anything from T206s in this box to 55 Bowmans to football stuff to 60s basketball, like this Elvin Hayes rookie card. There's a Ginger Beaumont. I have a Ginger Beaumont T206 already. But then you got some T205s kind of snuck away in here as well. Got a Catfish Hunter rookie card in a 2. It looked like a really nice 2. Still trying to figure out how that was just a 2. My friend next to me, John, he actually inquired on that one. He almost made a play for it. But again, more of the T205s. A lot of these were really well centered too. And these cards chip so easily with that gold border, just would flake off. So these are actually in pretty darn good condition. There's some minor stars in here. And again, some of the backs were a variety of different backs. Some of them had some writing on the back. But they're just beautiful, and I obviously thought about them a little bit. Here's some 52 tops in here as well. This dealer's out of Salt Lake City. He comes out occasionally for Sacramento and Bay Area shows. He's got some great vintage baseball cards. And, a little sprinkling of football and basketball as well. And then some more T205s. I've kind of taken a little bit of an extra liking to the T205s recently, especially the National Leaguers like these are. I like the looks of the National League ones so much better than the American League, where the picture's pulled back a little bit, and like that one there you see, that's an American League, another American League. You can see that the picture is so much smaller, whereas the National League, it's a closer shot. I like those a lot more than the American League.
The problem for me is I like the National League.
So I'm explaining to the dealer right here about what I'm telling you all about how I like the National League ones better than the American League. So there's another National League versus the American League.
The National League guys have such a better style of the card that I'm just like, ugh.
So, anyways, that was fun to go through those. Again, I was kind of wheels were spinning on that Bresnahan, and then he had a whole stack of T206s in the case. So I'm like, well, I at least got to give those a look to see what he's got in there. So he had some of these were in really good condition. There weren't any Hall of Famers in here, but there were some minor stars, a lot of commons, and they were in pretty darn nice shape. And we have to remember that when we were looking at like T206s, the quality control was non-existent back then. So if you find one centered, that's extremely rare, both side to side and top to bottom. So when you're going through a stack like this, like that one's way cut top to bottom off, that one's off top to bottom, way off. But then you see one like that and you go, oh, it's centered. Like those don't grow on trees. So, and I also am, generally speaking, I prefer the portraits to more of the quote-unquote action shots. But there are exceptions. Some of the cards I like a lot more in the action shot. Like Ty Cobb, I like the Ty Cobb bat on shoulder card the best, more than the portraits. So I was mentioning also to a few people in here, the show was packed. Like the most packed I've seen a show in a year. It was awesome. I was starting to worry about why our attendance is going down at shows, what's happening. I was starting to get a little stressed out about it because I don't want shows to start drying up again. And then this show was absolutely packed. Like it was hard to move around the room. So those were my pickups, and that was a great show. Next one coming up in February for the East Bay Card Show.